Vedas get to see the creation. They get to witness the creation, the emanation of the material energy from Mahavishnu, because they're there glorifying him throughout the unmanifest stage of material creation. But, I mean, that's kind of a stretch. I don't think it's stated anywhere directly that anybody's there to see this. It's a very intimate pastime. Very confidential pastime.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then there is a question by Suhas. Since Srimad Bhagavatam is an expanded version of the Vedanta Sutra, do we learn additional information from the Vedanta Sutras that is absent in the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Not really. I can't think of anything. Most of the principles taught directly in Vedanta Sutra are explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in the form of stories and narrations of pastimes of the Supreme Lord. I mean, the second sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha, is there, literally quoted in the first shloka. But like I said earlier, for example, the first sutra, Tato Brahma Jigyasa, is not specifically quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam, but the whole Bhagavatam is about inquiry into Brahman. That's what the whole Shastra is about. So we can understand that the meaning of that sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of its purpose. Okay, similarly, there are many other, for example, the whole second and third padas of the first Adhikarana of Vedanta Sutra talks about different terms and names in the Vedas and Upanishads that apparently may mean something else, but actually refer to Brahman. For example, prana. When people think of prana, they think either of the breath of the material body or the subtle energy of life, which is regulated by the breath. And in fact, those are certain meanings of the word prana. But Vyasadeva proves in the Vedanta Sutra that prana actually means Lord Vishnu. Why? Because prana is his energy. It is not the energy of the spirit soul. Why is that? Because the prana has to do with the material body. And the material body does not belong to the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is separate from the material body. The spiritual body is the conditioned soul, but the spiritual body doesn't require prana. You get the point? It's just like this camera requires electricity, but the electricity is different from the camera and is different from the operator as well. So the material body requires prana to operate. But the prana is different from the body and different from the soul who inhabits the body. That prana is the potency or the energy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, when we say that prana did this or prana does that, or prana is the fire of digestion, I think is the Upanishadic verse discussed in Vedanta Sutra, then what we're really saying is that the Lord, by his potency, is present in the material body and animates that body and makes it function. So in this way, Vyasadeva points out so many terms that are actually mean Lord Vishnu. So while he does this explicitly in the Vedanta Sutra, in Srimad Bhagavatam, those terms are used implicitly to discuss the Supreme Personality. You see? It's just like he was building the philosophical platform for Srimad Bhagavatam in the Vedanta Sutra. And then he puts that platform into actual use in the Bhagavatam. You see? And this is why I say that Vedanta Sutra is an ontological work. Because he's building a philosophical platform, also a platform of terminology, which delineates the different spiritual qualities of the Lord. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam, he tells stories based on those qualities that express and prove that those qualities belong to the Lord. And in the first 9 cantos, all of the qualities, the spiritual qualities of the Lord are described in detail. And in the 10th canto, the actual activities of the Lord are given. So Srimad Bhagavatam and Vedanta Sutra are both highly ontological, but the sutras are more literal, and the Bhagavatam is more metaphorical about describing those qualities. Any more?
Well, yeah, there was one question. Actually, Laura had one question. She said just for the Prabhus, but I think maybe you can just say something to her.
What is it?
After we come to 32 rounds of japa, are we to be focusing on one of the pastimes of the Lord while chanting, or only focusing on the holy name?
Oh boy. Okay. Prahlad Maharaj gives 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, and so on and so forth. So first one is hearing. First you have to hear from a self-realized soul, then Kirtanam, chanting or repeating what you have heard. Then Vishnu Smaranam means remembering the Lord. So you can remember the holy name, you can remember his pastimes, you can remember his form, you can remember his philosophy, you can remember your service. There's so many things that you can remember. And this will happen automatically while you're chanting. We were just discussing this the other day, that people with a more visual way of thinking will find it easy to visualize the Lord's form, while people who have a more oral way of thinking will remember his name or his pastimes or the philosophy. A lot of devotees meditate on their service, and this is okay. Srila Prabhupada was asked this question several times, like, what should we think about while we're chanting? And first of all, this implies that we're not fully absorbed in the holy name. If we're fully absorbed in the holy name, we're not going to think about anything while chanting. Just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And this is the highest stage of chanting. But when we're approaching that stage, there's going to be mental activity. We can't avoid it. So as long as our mental activity is also linked with the holy name, directly or indirectly, then we'll continue to make progress, because that means we're creating mental impressions of transcendental quality, which is the whole point of chanting or doing devotional service. To change our consciousness by creating many, many impressions of transcendental quality in the mind. So by thinking about our service, thinking about other devotees, thinking about our relationship with our Guru, thinking about the scriptures, the pastimes, the form of the Lord, things that he said, for example in Bhagavad Gita, his philosophy, his plan, his purposes. These are all things that are perfectly legitimate to run through your mind while you're chanting. And Srila Prabhupada directly said, yeah, you can meditate on your service. I do this a lot. While chanting, I'll be thinking about, well, what am I going to do today for Krishna? What's the next section I'm going to write? Or how am I going to preach, what's going to my strategy, you know? Because I find that when I ask certain questions while chanting, and then let go of those questions, the answers seem to pop into my mind of their own accord. This is very wonderful, because it has to be coming from Krishna. You know, it's like I'll have a certain question and I'll meditate on the question and get it very clear in my mind, and then I'll just let go of it. I won't try to figure it out. I think this is one thing that we shouldn't be doing while chanting, is trying to figure stuff out. You know, because that gets into mental discourse on the mental platform. And we don't want to be on the mental platform. We want to be on at least on the platform of intelligence. And intelligence means, I know that Krishna